those years of Israeli blockade, more than those who died during an Israeli aggression. So when we see Palestinians insisting on lifting the Israeli blockade imposed on Gaza as a main term or a main condition for a longer term or a prolonged ceasefire, it's because they have been suffering for over 7 years, losing the main or the essential things anyone can enjoy in his own or in her own life. So right now, when we go inside of a hospital in Gaza, we see them suffering from lack or severe shortage in medical supplies and equipment. If you go to any household in Gaza, you see them suffering from severe, continuous power cuts. You see them suffering from continuous water shortage. If you walk on the streets of Gaza, you see the water problems. You see the destruction and the infrastructure of Gaza. So all of that together adds to the miseries that are not only limited to the Israeli aggression that has lasted for over a month right now in Gaza.
Okay, PressTV's Halla Safadi reporting from the Gaza Strip. Halla, thank you very much. Now, the Palestinian resistance movement Hamas has welcomed the establishment of a UN panel to investigate the possible human rights violations and war crimes committed during Israel's military offensive in the Gaza Strip. On Monday, the United Nations named 3 experts to investigate all violations of international humanitarian law during the recent hostilities between the Palestinians and the Israelis. The panel will submit its report to the UN Human Rights Council by March 2015. Israel is already under fire for targeting civilian homes, schools, hospitals, and UN premises in Gaza. Recently, UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Navi Pillay, accused Israel of deliberately defying international law and said that the world's powers should hold Tel Aviv accountable for possible war crimes in Gaza. The Palestinians have also asked the International Court of Justice and the International Criminal Court to launch official inquests on Israel's war crimes. Well, joining us now from Vancouver via Skype is Alfred Webre. He's a war crimes lawyer. Many thanks for joining us here on PressTV, Mr. Webre. Now, first of all, of course, it is quite clear that the Palestinians are trying to up the pressure on Israel with regards to its actions in the Gaza Strip. However, we've been here before. Let's not forget the Goldstone report, which was not legally binding, and Goldstone was forced to retract some of his comments regarding Israel's violations of human rights and international law.
Yes, well, here we have a separate situation, because unlike the Goldstone report, in this situation, Hamas and the Palestinians have 2 separate routes. First, the UN committee route. In the case of the Goldstone report, Navi Pillay was the author, and Navi Pillay will not be the author. It will be a 3-person UN panel. Now, the 3rd person has just resigned, and that was Amal Maladen, who was the Screen Actors George Clooney's fiance, who stated that she had too many other obligations, so there'll be a 3rd person. And the director, who is a well-known Canadian human rights lawyer, and law professor, has been attacked by Zionist interests, saying that he is pro-Israel, but he pointed out that he's on the board of directors of the Israel Law Review, and that any statements that he made were merely against Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu with regard to Israeli war crimes. So those are just matters of public record. But here, the Palestinians really have 2 separate routes. One is this new 3-person panel, which will report in March 2015, and the second is that in 2012, the UN voted to recognize Palestine for all general purposes as a state. which means that Palestine can now go to the International Criminal Court and bring an action for war crimes against Israel because the war crimes occur, quote, on the territory of that state, namely Israel. So Palestine now has the teeth, which are that action. Now they're choosing now to go initially with the three-person panel. Now there are totally well justified means, because if we look at the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court, under which both the International Criminal Court would have jurisdiction and would be the standards under which the three-person panel of the UN Human Rights Council would judge, the Israelis, quote, and I'm just quoting from the statute, what they have done is, number one, they have intentionally directed attacks against the civilian population as such, and we can show that by showing that almost 1,800 civilians have died and 9,000 have been seriously injured, and whereas only approximately 50 Israeli soldiers. So this has really been directed against the civilians. Number two, intentionally directing attacks against civilian objects. I'm reading against from the definition of war crimes. The Israelis have intentionally, and it's been shown intentionally, attacked hospitals, attacked schools. They even attacked a UN school. That is, objects which are not normally military objectives. There it is. Intentionally launching an attack in the knowledge that such an attack...
Well, it seems we're having some technical difficulties there where Mr. Alfred Weber's connection will... apologies there, but that was war crimes lawyer Alfred Weber joining us via Skype from Vancouver. Well, U.S. President Barack Obama has welcomed the nomination of Haider al-Abadi to be Iraq's new prime minister.